Thanks for staying with us. So many of us have experienced or heard about the accident that happened in Lagos a few days ago, that claimed the lives of innocent Nigerians, where a bus drove across the train tracks and then the moving train rammed into it. This is a really sad story, and everybody has been mourning, especially those in Lagos State. However, it's political season, and many are politicizing the situation where various narratives are going on social media. That's why it was important for us to call somebody from the medical service who can explain to us what is going on and how the rescue mission has been done. Because so far, lots of narratives are on social media, and it's important for us to set the record straight so Nigerians understand the procedure of rescue. Joining us on the show this morning is the Chief Medical Director of the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, Professor Tokunbo Fabanwu. He'll be giving us an update on the state of yesterday's accident, the emergency response, and how the hospital is responding to these emergencies. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning. How are you?
Very, very good. So one of the first things we need clarity on, because it was quite trending on social media yesterday that all the survivors that were taken to the hospital were laid on the floor, that it shows that we didn't have enough bedrooms in LASUTH. And we've heard the Commissioner for Health come in to tell us that LASUTH is well equipped. So we're shocked to see people on the floor trying to, where it seems like the medical service were trying to attend to them on the floor. Could you give us clarity on exactly what happened yesterday?
Okay, thank you very much. You see, all these thoughts, all these concerns, all these criticism is really born out of ignorance and lack of knowledge of medical protocols and medical procedures. It is international best practice to triage in an open space. To start with, which medical emergency unit will have 85 empty beds waiting for 85 victims of a disaster? Nobody has that kind of fallow lying there. Secondly, the reason why you must triage in an open space is to be able to clearly see all the injuries, be able to clearly assess all the injuries, for the health workers to be able to move freely. Because when you triage, what you are doing is to determine the different severities of injuries. And so you need to decide who goes in first, who can still be attended to later. You need to set up drips, you need to set up blood. And what we did yesterday was quite impressive and excellent. As a matter of fact, our response has received huge commendation from all over, because we were able to receive 85 victims, eventually 102, and we were able to place mattresses on the floor. We were able to provide canopies for them. Health workers were mobilized within a short time. You can imagine about 100 health workers moving around within a space, attending to 102 patients. There is no emergency unit room that can accommodate that kind of number. So normally triaging is not done in enclosed spaces, except you are dealing with a small number of victims. Of course, if you had only 5 patients, we would have 5 beds to put them on and triage them. But 102, for crying out loud, there was no other way to do it than the way we did it, and that's the way everybody has done.
All right. Okay, so there was this speculation that most of the patients were abandoned. Can you help us clarify that?
Abandoned by their relatives?
No. They were struggling to get enough hands to handle everybody at the same time.
There was no struggle to get any hands. Okay. Now, let me explain to you what we do in LASUTH. Okay. On a monthly basis, we run an emergency preparedness drill. It's a simulation exercise, which we run without pay on a monthly basis. Okay. So we were not caught pants down yesterday. We were well prepared. And all the doctors on ground, all the nurses, all the medical scientists, all the pharmacists, everybody was mobilized within a short time. By the time I came in around 8 o'clock, 8:30, I was amazed at the number of people on ground attending to patients. A lot of drips had been set up. A lot of blood transfusion was going. A lot of patients had had POP applied to their fractures. It was fantastic. So the question is just a speculation and a mischievous statement, really, yeah.
So online yesterday, there were pictures of blood donors, and they claimed that they were donating blood at the hospital yesterday for victims of that crash. How true is that, and what's the state of health of most of the survivors?
Okay, so first and foremost, let me say that the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service showed up very well for us yesterday. To start with, we had some blood in our blood bank, enough, but the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service, under the leadership of Boduri Oshikumaya, was able to come up with quite a number of blood products and blood itself to use for these patients. And then, but because we had used them, we needed to replenish them. So that was why we were calling for donors to come and replenish our blood banks. So as we speak, all the patients that needed blood have been transfused. We have operated on about 7 of them successfully. About 4 of them are doing well in the intensive care unit. We moved about 20 of them to other hospitals, General Hospital Agege, General Hospital Bagada, General Hospital Lagos, and the emergency center at the toll gate, and they are doing very well. Okay, so I think the blood response was excellent.
Okay.
Sir, yesterday we spoke with the lasema boss, and he talked about a huge crowd, that was making the operations quite difficult. And we know that some of these family members and relatives concerned Nigerians, Lagosians, may have found themselves at the hospital as well. And we're wondering how you're able to handle this, or you did not experience this challenge at the hospital.
We experienced it, and it was quite overwhelming. We tried to control it, but there was a limit to what we could do. You see, you need to emphasize. If people were coming to look for their relations, you couldn't stop them. So what we did was to set up an information desk quickly, where we had a list of all the victims, and we had details of what was happening to them. So we were able to deal with the relations without necessarily having them move into this site where we were triaging. But it was a bit difficult.
All right, so what's the current numbers now? How many are recovering? How many have we lost? And how many are still having treatment at this time? You have the data with you.
Okay, so 102 victims. Okay. So far, sadly, 6 deaths.
6 deaths.
Okay, and so 96 of them are in 5 locations. LASUTH, number 1. Orile Agege, number 2. Bagada, number 3. General Hospital Lagos, number 4. And the emergency trauma center on the toll gate, number 5.
Okay.
So they are distributed like that. We moved the less severe cases to all those other places. So the more severe cases, those that need intensive care unit, those that have head injuries, those that have chest injuries, those that are bleeding internally, okay, and then those that have complicated fractures.
Right.
Those are the ones that we're keeping in LASUTH. Because here we have the experts in all these specialties to deal with them. So like I said, we've carried out 7 surgeries. There are still about 5 who are undergoing investigations, and they're going to have surgery. All these services, by the way, are being provided free of charge. None of the relations is paying 1 kobo for all these things we've done. And I must say that the Lagos State government has risen up to the occasion. They've given us some seed amount to carry on with. This was provided yesterday by the head of service, Mr. King Morio Konla. So we are doing good.
But Professor, I have to ask, because as I said, this is political season. Everything is being politicized in different ways. So have politicians started coming to your hospital to see the guests? I mean, how are you handling influx of all sorts of politicians just coming around to have a photo ops?
Yes.
Okay, so yesterday we knew that, of course, the gubernatorial candidates of the other parties would come, and they came. And they were well received. They were able to see for themselves, and they commended us for excellent services. Okay, we expect that a few more will come. But of course, because of confidentiality and privacy, not everybody is going to be allowed to see patients. So we can explain to them what is going on, but they do not necessarily have to go into our wards to see patients.
Right.
Okay, don't forget that we're still in the era of infectious diseases.
True. Right.
So we cannot even afford to expose our patients to all manners of people just coming in to say hello.
Right, right. Thank you very much, Professor Fabang. I think we have to let you go.
You.
It was important for us to get some clarity on this because these are lives we're talking about. People have died. It's an accident. It's not time for politics. It's time to get to work and make sure people are well taken care of. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this morning. That's what we can take on this segment.